I think some of that is, I don't want to say his youth, but like where he is in his career, the fact that this is still a guy who in a lot of ways is young in some sense and still has that much more to prove, right? Of like having success in this job of, hitting the ground running kind of thing. And the other thing too is like, I think he's, from everything you read and everything that you kind of hear about him, he's a meticulous person. It certainly seems like very detail-oriented.
Have we talked about it on the podcast where I have heard from multiple people at Auburn where it's like, yeah, this dude has every hour mapped out for the next 8 months. Mm-hmm. Like, he's that kind of guy.
Yeah, and I would not be shocked. Like, this is speculative. I mean, he got asked about golf in his intro presser.
Yeah.
He got asked about play calling, and it felt like, with maybe the exception of some of the golf stuff, you'd hear those questions get asked to his predecessor, and you'd get an answer, and it might even go for the same length of time. But, like, you wouldn't, once you waded through all the mud of it, there'd be nothing there. And Golesh, like, has an answer, for these things. And I wonder how much of that, an intentionality there is to, having the explanatory answer about play calling, but boiling it down to, look, there's one guy here, he's the shot caller, and that's what it is. And the same thing goes for as much as, like, him going to regions and doing an availability and not golfing. I get the impression he's not a golf guy, but at the same time, I would not be shocked at all if in his head he's like, well, like, maybe he does golf every once in a while. And
optics-wise, it's probably not the best right now to be a golfer as the head coach at Auburn University.
Right. I would not be shocked if we don't see that guy with a driver in his hand for 2 seasons at least. Yeah. So I think he's very meticulous, but I also think that there's a.
But the other thing about golf is, like, it takes time to like, you have to play it pretty often to be pretty good, and it's like kind of hard to do that and be a head coach. We would think.
We would think.
And yet, I mean,
how about this and be a good coach?
How effective in the job? So how much with Golesh, like, how much do you think this mentality is supported by a belief that he actually has a team that can compete right now? Because I think that would be part of it. It's like, if you don't think you have a roster right now that can hang when SEC games start being played, like, I imagine you would temper expectations and you would say things.
And I think he was very honest throughout the spring of being like, we've got a lot of work to do, and like we're not where we need to be yet. But I did think he had a lot of positive things to say coming out of spring of, like, the progress he thought he made and the team made.
Because that's something everyone else in the conference is saying too right now. I mean, maybe Georgia, maybe Texas. I guess you could look at Bama. I know a lot of people are high on A&M going into this season,
sure,
but it's like
why not?
A big chunk of the conference, even name brands, have a lot of work to do to get back to where they.
Well, it's just college football in this day and age. Did you see the Kirby Smart thing? Kirby had a quote at Regions the other day. I think it was at Regions, where he was like, "Yeah, our teams like 5-10 years ago would smoke this current team because it's like you can't stack anymore." And I think that's the thing is, like, with I think even if you were the best of the best, I had that stat in the Byron Brown, Alex Golesh, Joel Gordon piece I wrote earlier this week about how there are only a handful of power conference teams that have that trio. We had talked about it on the podcast. I was going to dig into the numbers, and the numbers you can read it. Obviously, if you're subscribed to this, you have access to it. But you can read it. It's a very small. It's like a third of power conference teams have that trio intact. Obviously, Auburn's importing theirs, much like Penn State and Virginia